Welcome on into the Cougar Tracks podcast, powered by KSLSports.com. I am your BYU insider, Mitch Harper. Happy as always to have you on board of the podcast wherever you're watching or listening to the show. That's right, we're on YouTube. You can watch this podcast now all the time, and we're going to have some exciting news coming up very soon regarding the Cougar Tracks podcast. It's going to be a big year of content for Cougar Tracks coming up. We got a loaded show for you on today's edition of the podcast. Day 3 of BYU Football Fall Camp is in the books. You'll hear some of my breakdown from the observations from practice. Also hear clips from Aaron Rodrik on this quarterback battle. And then we'll change gears. Well, we'll also have on Fall Camp B-roll breakdown, a video friendly segment here on the program. And then we'll discuss Jake Retzlaff. He spoke and shared his thoughts on his time at BYU. So all of that and a whole lot more. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever, however, and go to the KSL Sports app as well. And you can follow me on social media, Mitch_Harper. So day 3 of BYU Football Fall Camp was pretty newsy, I must say. I think that there was a lot of news. It helps too when, you're in a media scrum and some folks are asking the questions that need to be asked to move along the storyline. Sometimes that doesn't always happen. I kind of focused in on being in those general media scrums, a little bit behind the scenes too. When you go to a practice as a media member, you've got the general media scrums that are, or gaggles, whatever you want to call them. And those are always streamed on YouTube. BYU streams those things. And you can see all of those. You don't always hear my voice in those because sometimes during those interviews or those, gaggles or scrums, I'm off doing one-on-one interviews. But on Friday, I thought it's probably more important to just ask questions to the coordinators because it's their first time talking since, well, in the case of Aaron Rodrik, since spring ball, really. And Jay Hill, we saw him at the June Golf Media Day event. I didn't say A-Rod back in June. I might have missed him. That could be maybe an oversight on my part, but I just didn't see A-Rod in June. But so it was a good chance to really check in with the coordinators and get their perspective on things because I think they gave great insight. I think those coordinators for BYU are pretty open, candid, and pretty transparent, I think, with things. And they gave some good commentary and that. So that we'll get to some of the commentary from Aaron Rodrik on the quarterback battle. But some of the news and notes, the big key news items, of course, the quarterback battle update. I thought Trayson Bourguet was the best on Friday. I thought he had some of the best passes, and I thought he played pretty well. I thought he looked really calm, collected in that pocket. I thought he did a really good job, a lot of red zone work for this BYU team. Bear Bachmeier did have an interception that Aaron Rodrik kind of said he probably should have took off and run, but we told him, don't worry about running, stay in the pocket and throw that football, which kind of makes sense because he stayed in that pocket way too long. It was like, go do something. And he just kept staying and staying and staying. And then he threw the pick. The other newsy items from practice on day 3, Justin Kirkland, defensive tackle, Oklahoma State transfer. He's dealing with a knee injury. No real timetable given by Jay Hill. He deferred to the doctors giving that time frame for when Justin Kirkland returns. And I think that's pretty big because Kirkland was expected or is expected to be a real difference maker for BYU in the interior of the defensive line. And without him, even Jay Hill noted, it's a relatively thin group in that spot. You've got Keanu Tanavasa, John Talmoipeu, Anisi Purcell. You've got some other guys as well. They're pretty young. And then you got the Weber State transfer senior. But it's a different outlook without Justin Kirkland and huge expectations for him. I thought Hans Olsen on the KSL Sports Zone, and of course he's the color commentator for BYU Football games. I thought he had some good insight on Hans and Scotty on the KSL Sports Zone, which also, like this show, you can check out on the KSL Sports app. He was just talking about the size of Kirkland and having issues with knees. He's a very powerful player where he's using a lot of weight to move around, and it's not a smooth movement. So having any sort of knee issue, that could be a little bit worrisome potentially for Justin Kirkland. But I do think still the D tackles with Talmoipeu and Tanavasa will be fine. It's just then Purcell, I think, will be good too, but he's more developmental. And, he was once a defensive end at Southern Utah. Can he get up to speed and be ready to go? They've had history with that, with John Nielsen and Blake Mangelson, former DNs, turning into D tackles. But, that's not ideal considering Kirkland was a spring portal addition and was expected to have a huge contribution. Haven't seen him go through any team portions in practices. He's been there at practice observing, but just not competing, and that's unfortunate. And then the other news item from the day was Pokaiaua Haunga, no longer with the football team, left due to personal reasons. BYU didn't really expand on that being Aaron Rodrik when he was asked about it in the general media session. So that's some of the key news items from day 3 of BYU football practice. Here's a more in-depth breakdown, and we'll have some more commentary of other observations that I had from practice. This was me from earlier today at the Zions Bank practice field. Day 3 of BYU football practice is a wrap. Mitch Harper here with KSL Sports, and it's a lot of red zone work here today at practice. We got about 24 minutes of observation during practice today, and I thought there was some really good insight. Of course, the quarterback battle continues to be a hot topic here down in Provo. Aaron Rodrik spoke to the media afterwards, and he said there's no separation between any of the quarterbacks. He's nowhere near close ready to name a starting quarterback, but we did see, again, a lot of red zone work from the QBs. I thought of note, Trayson Bourguet looked really good. He had a nice fade touchdown pass that was a nice completion from Bourguet, and I thought it was a really impressive throw. He, again, was the first quarterback that we saw in action today. And then Bear Bachmeier, who got some high praise, I thought, on day 1 during the media observation period. He did throw an interception during red zone work near the end of practice during those 24 minutes. Aaron Rodrik said that in that situation, Bear probably should have ran, and it was a good learning opportunity for the freshman from Stanford. We also saw McKay Hillstead in action. He was the second quarterback in action. He did have one pass that was deflected at the line of scrimmage by Ace Kafusi, and Kafusi's going to be a really good player for BYU. I'm expecting kind of a big jump from him heading into his 3rd season in the program. Remember, Ace Kafusi, it was that Oklahoma State game 2 years ago in Stillwater where he really took off. And then, last year he redshirted a season ago. I expect big things from him. And Jay Hill even noted, defensive coordinator for the Cougars heading into his 3rd year, he even noted in his post-practice media availability that the linebacker position is in a great spot. Highlighted Siali Acera during the practice today. He had a nice play where he was in coverage on an incomplete pass. He was there almost like a heat-seeking missile. He looked great out there. I thought Siali Acera is going to be really good for BYU today. But some other notes, too. Going back to the Trayson Bourguet touchdown pass to Chase Roberts, it was noteworthy, too, that it was a low snap from Bruce Mitchell, which kind of uncharacteristic for Bruce. I think Bruce has been great, and he's probably going to be the starting center for BYU this season. He had a low snap, and then Trayson gathered it, took his time, didn't rush himself, threw a nice fade and completed it to Chase Roberts. It was a really good ball. And then they went over to the right hash mark, and there was a nice play call to Carson Ryan. Again, I thought Bourguet looked really good during the observation period, and I thought that it's pretty clear. Again, these 3 quarterbacks, all 3 of them, there's an argument for all 3 to be the starter of this team. And Aaron Rodrik, kind of sent a reminder that they've been through this with the quarterback battle. He's no stranger to structuring quarterback competitions. He's done it for years, and he expressed, he's like, we got the confidence that we can get it done, and wanted to remind people of that. And it'll be really interesting to see how that develops. Some personnel notes from practice today. Pokaiaua Haunga, a redshirt freshman running back, no longer on the roster. Aaron Rodrik noted that Pokai is leaving the team due to personal reasons. Didn't expand on that, but he's no longer on the roster and with the team due to personal reasons. So some of the running back work that we saw today, we of course saw LJ Martin, who Rodrik noted is one of the best players in the program, and no doubt about it. And Rodrik noted too that LJ is leaner, and I kind of agree with that. Last year, he bulked up, added a lot of weight. He looks a little bit leaner and a little bit quicker this season, LJ Martin does, and expectations are huge for the junior running back out of El Paso, Texas. We also saw Jovesa Demooney, Enoch Nawahine,
get some runs. Sione Moa, and then Preston Rex as well. Preston Rex, a former safety. Remember last year he was out for the season due to an ACL injury. He's now back with the team, healthy. He got a touchdown in some work near the end of practice on a handoff from Emerson Geilman, which, by the way, we did see Emerson Geilman, the quarterback from Bountiful High School. We saw him in action at the end. His first play call was a handoff to Preston Rex, which ended up being a touchdown run. But Geilman, people, maybe don't realize, Bountiful High, preferred walk-on commit, really good athlete, got good speed. He competed down at the Elite 11 in Las Vegas and had an excellent testing score. Emerson Geilman's a good athlete. Now, he's not in the battle, the race. It's a three-man battle, as Aaron Rodrik noted. But, to have in the pipeline, he's a guy that is planning on serving a mission after this season, and then he'll be in the pipeline for BYU in the years to come. But again, all in all, I think pretty productive day. Just we saw all the quarterbacks in action. Some other tidbits on the personnel. Asked about Justin Kirkland, the talented defensive tackle transfer from Oklahoma State. Haven't seen him in action yet. Jay Hill said that they don't have a timeline when he's returning. He's still dealing with a little bit of a knee injury. Jay Hill didn't give an outlook of that timeline. Now, the D tackle spot with Keanu Tanavasa, John Talmoipeyu, JT, that's your top two. But then after that, Jay Hill noted it's a little bit thin, and that's an area where they have to kind of improve and get better and figure some things out. So Kirkland not participating is pretty significant development, I think, for this football team. Saw a pass completion to Tay Nakua. I think he continues to be trending up as a redshirt freshman. Tay Nakua is going to be a really good player for BYU. Now, it's not, you don't want to place the Puka comparisons to Kai Nakua, but he's a Nakua. He's going to be good, and that's the expectation, but he's still young. You're seeing a lot of work with Chase Roberts, JoJo Phillips, Cody Hagan, but then that next group with Tiger Bachmeyer, Tay Nakua, they've got a nice grouping of receivers. I think the big question with this receiver group is just who after Chase Roberts is going to be a week after week contributor to this team that you can rely on. But I think there's good pieces to work with, and there's good talent there as well. Some kind of deep cuts that just kind of caught my eye from a physical standpoint. Cepha Brown, a freshman from Highland High School, he signed in a couple cycles ago. Just a long, big athlete. He's going to be a good player for BYU off the defensive end spot. He's one to watch. Again, I don't look at him right now as a two-deep guy. He joined the team in the summer, but down the road, I think keep an eye on someone like a Cepha Brown who's just got a build. You add some weight to him, he's going to be a really talented football player for BYU in the future. Che Bryant Strother, I thought, had a nice tackle near the goal line. He had a nice tackle on Javesa Dumuni near the goal line. You could hear it from the balcony. The media's up on the balcony watching these practices this year, and it's kind of a little bit of a throwback to years gone by when fans used to come to these practices and watch on the balcony. There'd be thousands of fans watching. It's a little bit of a throwback, but yeah, Che Bryant Strother, he had a tackle that you could just hear from the balcony. I thought it was really impressive. I think him, Ace Kafusi, they're going to be that next grouping in line after the starters of Jack Kelly, Isaiah Glasker, and Sialia Serra as well.
There you go. That was my breakdown of BYU football day 3 fall camp practices. And to get more insight into the quarterback battle, I asked Aaron Rodrik his impressions of the QBs through 3 days.
We're giving equal reps to 3 guys, and you guys know who the 3 are, and they're doing a good job. It's too soon to try to measure any separation or anything like that. I think we need to give everybody more opportunities before we start to try to make any kind of decisions. It's going to be a minute.
It's going to be a minute, and I think everyone listening, watching this podcast expects that. No one's surprised by the thought or commentary from Aaron Rodrik that they're going to need time. This is not a quarterback battle where there's a Jaron Hall in the building. There's a Zach Wilson where he's the best quarterback, but in that situation, you wanted to find the sweet spot in the schedule to get him into games. There's not that here. Now, all the quarterbacks, though, have had moments. They've looked good at times. They've had some lows, interceptions, most noteworthy. One of those interceptions on Friday was from Bear Bachmeyer, but let's call it what it is. Bear Bachmeyer's probably for lack of a better term, maybe the sexy candidate, the real attractive candidate that I think most of Cougar fans would probably be okay to go with. I think that, that's what's interesting about this quarterback battle is I think all of Cougar Nation is still just trying to learn about all these guys. I don't think they truly know much about them. They haven't seen any of these three play a snap at BYU. They're not allowed to go to open practices. There's no such thing as open practices these days. So they don't know. They're looking to just get any info that they can. And on the surface, 4-star transfer from Stanford, probably the most decorated quarterback recruit that's actually enrolled since Aaron Rodrik became the offensive coordinator. Obviously, Ryder Lyons is the most high profile, but still a few years till he matriculates and joins the program. Bear Bachmeier is a big deal. And Aaron Rodrik shared his thoughts on Bear Bachmeier and what he could potentially be for this program. And, A-Rod had some, I thought, interesting commentary that he shared in the media on Friday that shared some thoughts on, what Bear Bachmeier could potentially become. And this was A-Rod on Bear.
It wasn't really about summer. It's just what he was in high school and just how quickly he's been able to learn. He's very smart, very, very smart. And so he's up to speed. He needs reps as far as like chemistry with his teammates, but in terms of knowing what to do, he's been dialed every play.
How about that? He's up to speed. Feels like a maybe throwaway line. Is he just coach speak? Like watching some media observation periods, Bear is very calm, very poised. He looks the part, man. I mean, it's hard to imagine a true freshman getting the week 1 nod. But the thing is, when we talk about historical perspective with true freshman quarterbacks, yeah, in the 80s and 90s, it never happened. True freshmen weren't ready. It just wasn't a thing. True freshmen didn't play really any position in week 1 back then. 2000s as well. And I'm bringing this up from a historical perspective because now young athletes that join these programs, they've been trained, they've got trainers, they've got extra, coaching, Bear Bachmeier, like many BYU quarterbacks have worked with John Beck. What I'm getting at is that they're way more advanced than what they were, true freshmen were 15, 20 years ago. So it's not unreasonable to say a true freshman signal caller is going to be the dude in week 1. It's just not, it happens at a lot of places. Is it ideal? No, you want to turn to the junior, the senior. I mean, Kalani's talked about that in the past too. I remember last year at Big 12 Media Days in Vegas, he's like, I want to get the quarterback factory rolling. We know how to do it. If guys can be patient, we can get this machine churning. And so, yes, you had a wrench thrown into this thing with the Jake Retzlaff situation. He goes to Tulane. We'll get to that here a little bit later. But it's not unreasonable to think Bear Bachmeier could do it. I just think, can he know the playbook enough? But right there, he's up to speed. He's a smart guy. Bear himself didn't seem too blown away by the playbook, what he told the media on Wednesday. I thought it was just interesting commentary from A-Rod there. This is more from Aaron Rodrik on the quarterbacks in fall camp.
Well, it's always a challenge, but I've been through this enough times. I hope that people will have some confidence that we can get this done. We've done it before, and we have a good process that we go through to basically what we're going to do is we're going to work through it, and the whole team's going to watch it happen. And so whenever that starter is named, everybody on the team will be, we'll know, oh yeah, of course, like we just watched it happen on the field. And so we'll just keep working our way through it, just as we've done in the past with Jaron and Baylor, Zach and Jaron and Baylor, et cetera, right? We've been through this before last year with Gary and Jake, and we'll do it again.
Can't argue with that. They've had success. I've talked about it a lot on this show, that BYU's best seasons under Kalani have come with quarterback battles as the starting point. It's just, to me, a little different when it's in the middle of summer. You get your position upended. But again, Aaron Rodrik's comfortable with it. He feels like they can get something out of this position group and have a lot of success with that group. I wanted to go back to the running back position with Pokaiaua Haunga no longer with the team. I will say, and if you go back and listen to my fall camp preview, I mentioned some deep cut names, and it was also very refreshing to hear my deep cut name, Logan Payne, got some love from Aaron Rodrik. So when you listen to these podcasts and the observations, it's coming from a place of observations and intel and things like that. Logan Payne could be a pretty good player for BYU. Enoch Nauhine's in there too. I think Enoch becomes that third running back. And that right there, I'm fine. Like, Pokai had a higher ceiling than Enoch Nauhine. I think we can all agree on that. Pokai was getting Reno Mahe comparisons. Like, I'll tell you, spring 2024, Pokai was the guy getting the love. Like, he was talked about by anyone and everyone and the coaching staff. Now he's gone, and it happens. It's just attrition is part of the deal. You would have rather seen this departure in April rather than now. That's the only downside to it, because maybe if it happens in April, maybe you kick the tires on a portal running back. But you know what? I'm still okay with Enoch Nauhine, Logan Payne, and you know what? I kind of like Preston Rex. Preston Rex is there, and he got a tote, as I mentioned in my practice breakdown. Really good-looking athlete. I think Preston looks fantastic physically right now. So I think the running back situation will be okay. You just hope that LJ stays completely healthy. Can that guy play 12-plus games this year? That's going to be the key. If LJ stays healthy, BYU's running back situation will be fine. He will get yards. But if he's missing time, well, then it becomes a little bit of a question. Sione Moa is going to be good too. There's no doubt in my mind about Sione. But, the only, I guess, doubt you could have about Sione is just, could he week after week do it? He's had it in small doses when he was a complete unknown on opposing scouting reports. Now he's known, and he'll be factored into scouting reports. But LJ Martin's the guy, and he's got to be healthy. And if he's healthy, that running back unit's going to be just fine. You just would have liked to have seen some guys that, the promising talents. But I will also add, too, Jovesa Damuni, who I noted in my fall camp preview, was trending up coming out of spring. He was getting some second-team run at times in spring ball. And he's more of a speedster, as Aaron Rodrik noted. I thought he looked solid on day 3. I think he's a pretty good running back. Remember, he was a wide receiver in high school at Ridgeline. Then he converts to running back. BYU's done that with some prospects. Remember, Miles Davis, once a wide receiver, then he starts to learn the running back position. It's a little bit of a transition. It's going to take some time. I don't look at Jovesa as that number 3 guy right now, but if he has to be, maybe he could climb, and maybe he could be that home run breakaway threat that could hit the corner because of his speed. That could be a different wrinkle to this running back unit that LJ and Sione are not necessarily known for. I think they're better athletes than people give them credit for, but I think that's something to factor in. But it happens. I mean, football attrition, it just chalk it up like it's a season-ending injury and just move forward and next man up, and that's what it's going to be. But I did like to hear some good praise from some of those deeper cut guys from Aaron Rodrik. We rolled this out on the last episode of Cougar Tracks, and many of you liked it. I was pleased to hear that feedback from you. Again, the audio portion maybe isn't ideal, but if you want to watch it along with me, you can see these highlights on BYU socials. This video, of course, provided by BYU. Brandon Despain uploads it. But a live reaction, I haven't watched it yet. The BYU camp B-roll breakdown from day 3. And we will fire it up in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Let's see here. So we got a wide view shot of the mountains. Let's see, you got some defensive personnel. I will add, it still throws me off that the defensive players wear blue. It's about year 5 of this now, but it still kind of just throws me off because for years it was always white was defense in the Bronco years. Tetterwall, he's in a dogfight in the safety position battle, according to Jay Hill, which very interesting commentary. Jay was very candid about the safety competition, juggling the young prospects like a Falatau Satuala, Tommy Parasis, who could play, either one of those position groups at the safety spot. And that's going to be interesting, that safety position. There's Aaron Rodrik continuing to evaluate those QBs and this offense as he gets ready for another season. Year 5 of him being the offensive coordinator. Trayson Bourget, again, can spin it. He looks pretty good out there. I thought he did a nice job on Friday. McKay Hillstead, a small sample size. We saw him with the second-team offensive line. And then Bear Bachmeier still getting adjusted to that, watching that 47, man. It's different. And then Emerson Geilman as well. Kalani Sitake and Aaron Roddick, they've been through things, man. They've seen things. They've been doing it for a long time, holding it down from their days at Utah and as players at BYU. Let's see here. Who was that? I didn't catch that on the throw there. Got some Sione Mo action. See, like right there. I mean, Sione Mo was a wrecking ball, man. Maury Bamba with the pick. Nice play by Maury in coverage against JoJo Phillips. It's his time to take the throne as that number 1 cornerback. Che Bryant Strother got some love from Jay Hill. He looked really good. Carson Ryan, he got praise from Aaron Roddick. Quickly was highlighted as one of the top, if not the top, tight end. LJ Martin going to be a stud this year. Trayson Bourget going deep. This portion of practice we did not see. That's to Will Zundel, number 32. Will Zundel, he's kind of having some quiet, good moments in camp thus far. Jovesa Dumuni, who I noted, number 28, got some speed. Look at the little physicality, too, from Jovesa. I like that. McKay Hillstead on the run, slinging it to Tiger Bachmeier. Good ball. Bear Bachmeier letting it rip to LaMason Waller. How about that? LaMason Waller, true freshman, making some plays. And I like that LaMason is in a spot where the weight of the world isn't on him. Like he can just, develop redshirt this year ideally and then move forward. That was the nice ball right there. The best play of the day from Trayson Bourget to Chase Roberts. Another good ball from Bourget to Carson Ryan. He had a good day today. McKay to Jovesa Dumuni for a tutty. Jay Bryant Strother, UCLA transfer, Elijah Bryant's brother. He's going to be next in line on that linebacker unit, which I think is a good spot to be in because he's a power conference caliber starter in most linebacker units. There's the pick. Bear Bachmeier threw that ball and got picked off by Tanner Wall. Let's see here. What's going on there? I saw this play in practice. I can't make it out, but there you go. That's the B-roll breakdown from BYU football fall camp. Always appreciate that. Highlights from BYU that's provided. Look, we all love some good highlights in camp. Who doesn't love those camp highlights to just kind of dissect and break it down and get that football fix? Because this month, folks, we got football. And that's just a beautiful thing to think about. It's also been good to think about that Jake Retzlaff had a landing spot, and Jake spoke to the media down in New Orleans. New Orleans? Am I saying that right? New Orleans? I always get self-conscious about that. I don't know why. New Orleans? Nolans. I don't know. Tulane University's got a landing spot, and Tulane's expected to be really good this season. Jake was asked about his time at BYU from Tulane reporters, had a very interesting response, and also discussed the differences between Provo and the Big Easy.
See Coach Sitake the other day was very complimentary of you and your journey and going forward. Did you see that? Did you have any reaction to his?
I've talked to Coach Kalani a lot. Like, he's not just a coach to me. He's a real mentor, a true friend. Like, he's a loved one in my eyes. He's family. That guy, I have so much respect for that. I've actually getting to know that him and Summerall, they are actually so similar in their coaching styles and what they do, and so it's really cool. You got the Utah version of Summerall over there, and so that's what another thing that made Summerall so appealing to me is a lot of the same virtues and the same things that guide this program are so similar over there, and so that's what helped. Coach Kalani and honestly that entire staff over there, that's family. That is what it is. The circumstances where the circumstances are, and I left, And I mean, I told those guys I left, I was like, any one of you call me anytime, I'll pick up. I don't care what I'm doing, I'll pick up no matter what. Those are my brothers over there till the end, and they all know that. And so I'm excited to see their future and see their success. I've talked to those guys and said, I'm watching you guys. I guarantee you, if I got a chance, after one of our games to throw on a BYU game, I will, because we always play early games, right? And they play all 8-15 kicks. And so, I'm excited to watch them play. I'm excited to watch whatever quarterback gets out of that quarterback battle to lead those guys down that team. I got a lot of love for that program over there at BYU. It was an amazing place. It made me an amazing human being. I feel like it helped me grow in so many ways on and especially off the field. It helped me connect stronger with my faith than ever before, because I was in a place where it was so faith-oriented that it was just right in front of you, and a law of attraction. If you're talking about thinking about it, you're going to grow in that way. And so, it was an incredible experience in that fact where, when you're in junior college, you're worried about playing football and getting to the next level. It was so easy for me to, put Judaism on a back burner, and for me to be able to go to a place like that said, no, this is going to be a huge part of your life. Honestly, whether you like it or not. And I was like, well, I love it. Let's do it. And so that place was transformative for me. Like I said, I got family there. That is a family place. I'm so much rooting for their success. I can't wait to see what they do. But at the same time, like I said, I am where my feet are, and I'm excited to bring this program, and win a lot of ball games this year.
Jake, give me a major difference between Provo, Utah, and New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh my gosh! I stepped into a different world, a different galaxy. This is polar opposite. Provo, I'm used to those big, beautiful mountains, walking out to practice every day. We got that big, beautiful sun and the humidity. I'm soaked right now. I haven't sweat this much in my life. That's been a little bit of a difference. I've never actually worn a wristband on my throwing arm, and I didn't even know why people did it. Truthfully, until I talked to one of my quarterback coaches coming out. He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna end up with one of those wristbands." Well, it's day 3, and I got my wristband. So, the sweatband, it's been great though. But it's a fun adjustment for sure. I wish, honestly, I was here sooner and had a little more time to, go around, look around a little bit. I did have the opportunity to be here for the Super Bowl, so I was here for that weekend and got to experience the Super Bowl in New Orleans. So that was a cool deal. But I'm excited to be at the city, and I hear from everybody there's a lot of support in this football team, and so I'm excited to embrace that.
Good stuff there from Jake Retzlaff. Wow. That could have been a whole lot different, you would have thought. He could have easily teed off on BYU and said he hated the place and had no respect for BYU. But to go that way and still highlight how it brought him closer to his faith. BYU is not going to amplify that message at all. The guy left, withdrew, and, there was a, civil lawsuit that really kind of spearheaded his departure. But still, for him to say that, I think that's pretty cool. Look, you can have your opinions on Jake Retzlaff, but I hope that all works out for him. And I hope that everything going forward for him can become a positive going forward. And I'm glad that he's got a chance to play some football this season, and seems like he's going to get every opportunity to be that QB1. What a story that would be, to arrive 1 week before fall camp and become a starter of a team. I remember years ago, people thought it was crazy when Russell Wilson left NC State as a grad transfer, or Jeremiah Masoli left Oregon to go to Ole Miss, and people thought, how does that happen? How can a quarterback take over for just 1 year? Now we got quarterbacks showing up a week before. It's college football, baby. Don't you love that? But pretty cool message, and hope Jake has success, and quite the message, though. And look, people in Tulane, the media, they're going to love Jake. He's a good soundbite. He gives compelling interviews, and he'll give you great quotes. But I think, that was a really interesting tidbit and just commentary there from Jake, and wanted to highlight that. But that's going to do it for this edition of the Cougar Tracks podcast. I hope all of you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the show. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a ton. And make sure to watch this podcast on YouTube, KSL Sports Podcast and KSL Sports YouTube channel. Give a like, subscribe to the channel. Be much appreciated. And I will talk to you next time here on the Cougar Tracks podcast. And it's powered by KSLSports.com.